The delegation will be a sanctuary for peaceful, quiet diplomacy, informed by the Imamah's outlook of global convergence and the development of civil society. The delegation, with its openness and transparency, will be a symbolic seat for the Imamah's permanent presence in Canada and a platform for constructive exchanges that mutually broaden moral and intellectual horizons. The delegation of the Ismaili Imamate will be an illuminating landmark on the mile of history, an epitome of friendship to one and all. It will radiate Islam's precepts of one humanity, the dignity of man, and the nobility of joint striving in deeds of goodness.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Mrs. Harper, Chief Justice Beverly McLaughlin and Mr. McArdle, Madame Adrienne Clarkson and Mr. John Ralston Saul, Your Excellencies, Honourable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, je voudrais commencer mes commentaires aujourd'hui en vous souhaitant le bienvenu dans ce nouveau bâtiment de la délégation Ismaili à Ottawa. Nous sommes ravis que vous participiez à cette journée importante pour nous et je vais me permettre de continuer en anglais. My warmest thanks go out to all of you for being part of this wonderful occasion. I particularly want to thank the Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Stephen Harper, for the honour of his presence at a time of immense global challenges for those who bear the responsibilities of national leadership. Let me also express my gratitude to the former Governor-General of Canada, Madame Adrienne Clarkson. She was present at the foundation stone ceremony for this building, and she thoughtfully predicted then that this edifice would not be just another monumental structure, but would, both in its unity and in its transparency, represent, as she put it, the way in which the world can work when we are all at our best. I'm also deeply grateful to the National Capital Commission and to all those who helped to design, construct, and decorate this delegation building, including all those who so generously volunteered their energies. This is the third important new Canadian building with which I will have been associated over the last 5 years. It affirms our intent to share within a Western setting the best of Islamic life and heritage. This new delegation of the Ismailiyya, like the Ismaili Centre and the Arkan Museum to be built in Toronto, reflects our conviction that buildings can do more than simply house people and programs. They can also reflect our deepest values, as great architecture captures esoteric thought in physical form. When I invited Professor Maki, a master of form and light, to design this building, I made a suggestion to him, one that I hoped would help connect this place symbolically to the faith of Islam. The suggestion I made focused on creating a certain mystique centered around the beautiful mysteries of rock crystal. Why rock crystal? Because of its translucency, its multiple planes, and the fascination of its colors, all of which present themselves differently as light moves around them. The hues of rock crystal are subtle, striking, and widely varied, for they can be clear or milky, white or rose-colored, or smoky, or golden, or black. It is because of these qualities that rock crystal seems to be such an appropriate symbol of the profound beauty and the ever-unfolding mystery of creation itself and the Creator. As the Holy Quran so powerfully affirms, Allah is the Creator and the Master of the heavens and the earth. And then it continues, everything in the heavens and on earth, and everything between them, and everything beneath the soil belongs to Him. But in Islamic thought, as in this building, beauty and mystery are not separated from intellect. In fact, the reverse is true. As we use our intellect to gain new knowledge about creation, we come to see even more profoundly the depth and breadth of its mysteries. We explore unknown regions beneath the seas and in outer space. We reach back over hundreds of millions of years in time. Extraordinary fossilized geological specimens seize our imagination. Palm leaves, amethyst flowers, hedgehog quartz, sea lilies, chrysanthemum, and a rich panoply of shells. Indeed, these wonders are found beneath the very soil on which we tread, in every corner of the world, and they connect us with far distant epochs and environments. And the more we discover, the more we know, the more we penetrate just below the surface of our normal lives, the more our imagination staggers. Just think, for example, what might lie below the surfaces of celestial bodies all across the far-flung reaches of our universe. What we feel, even as we learn, is an ever-renewed sense of wonder, indeed, a powerful sense of awe and of divine inspiration. Using rock crystal's iridescent mystery as an inspiration for this building does indeed provide an appropriate symbol of the timelessness, the power, and the mystery of Allah as the Lord of creation. What we celebrate today can thus be seen as a new creative link between the spiritual dimensions of Islam and the cultures of the West. Even more particularly, it represents another new bridge between the peoples of Islam and the peoples of Canada. Many of you may remember that my personal involvement with Canada dates back more than 3 decades, when at a time of great upheaval in Uganda, many members of the Ismaili community and others found here a new home in which they could quickly rebuild their lives. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, and expressing habits of mind and spirit which have long been central to the Canadian character, this country provided a welcoming haven to those who had been victimized by history. Since that time, Ismailis from other parts of the world have also come to Canada, contributing not only to Canadian society, but also to the diverse mosaic of the global Ismaili community. One of the principal reasons, I believe, for the great rapport between the Ismaili and Canadian communities through the years is our shared commitment to a common ethical framework, and especially to the ideals of pluralism. By this, I mean not only social pluralism, which embraces a diversity of ethnic and religious groups, but also pluralism in our thinking about government and pluralism in our approach to other institutions. One of the reasons governments have failed in highly diverse settings around the world is that dogma has too often been enshrined at the price of more flexible, pluralistic approaches to political and economic challenges. Within Islam itself, we can see a broad sense of pluralism, including a variety of spiritual interpretations and a diversity of governments and social institutions. The spirit of pluralism at its base is a response to the realities of diversity, a way of reconciling difference on the one hand, with cooperation and common purpose on the other. It is an attitude, a way of thinking, which regards our differences not as threats, but as gifts, as occasions for learning, stretching, growing, and at the same time as occasions for appreciating anew the beauties of one's own identity. The challenge of pluralism is particularly important for those who are called upon to lead diversified communities and to act in diversified environments. It is a challenge to which Canadians have responded nobly through the years, and it is also a challenge which has been central to our work through the Arkan Development Network, what we call AKDN. The AKDN's principal focus, as you know, has been the underserved populations of Central and South Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Our approach has observed the principles of neutrality and pragmatism, but this has not always been an easy matter. Turbulence and discontinuity have characterized these regions, including the transition from colonial rule, the struggles of the Cold War, the tensions of the nuclear age, and the rise of new nationalisms of both right and left, as well as revolutions in communications and transportation, which have so dramatically increased encounters among different peoples. Our network has inevitably been drawn into a tangled variety of social and cultural contexts, including highly fragile, conflictual and post-conflictual situations. Our response has always been to focus on the pursuit of pluralistic progress. Even against the most daunting challenges, social and economic progress can and must be a shared experience based on a cosmopolitan ethic and nurtured by a spirit of genuine partnership. When we have talked of development in this context over the years, we have always found responsive interlocutors in Canada. We recognize together the interdependence of economic progress on the one hand, and inclusive governmental structures on the other. We affirm together the centrality of communication and education in any progressive formula. We both embrace the interdependent role of various social sectors, private and governmental and voluntary, including the institutions of pluralistic civil society. For the last quarter century, Canada, especially through CIDA, has been collectively and actively collaborating with the Arkan Development Network to support sustainable development in marginalized communities in Africa and in Asia. In the course of this work, we have seen at first hand Canadian global leadership at its best, thoughtful, empathetic, and avoiding both intellectual pretensions and dogmatic simplifications. Our work together in northern Pakistan is one rich chapter in this story. Our new efforts in places like Tajikistan and Afghanistan have opened further horizons. We could also point directly to early childhood programs in Africa, or we could speak of our projects in higher education, working with Canadian universities such as McMaster, McGill, University of Toronto, University of Alberta, and University of Calgary. The establishment of the delegation of the Ismailiyya represents yet another step on a long path. It will give us another platform for strengthening and extending our relationship. It will be a site for robust dialogue, intellectual exchange, and the forging of new partnerships with government and with institutions of civil society and the private sector of Canada and so many other countries. To be able to site this building on Confederation Boulevard in close proximity to your major national institutions as well as representations from abroad, is itself a symbol of the outgoing, interactive spirit which must guide our response to global challenges. It is our prayer that the establishment of the delegation will provide a strongly anchored, ever-expanding opportunity for rich collaboration in the devoted service of ancient values, in the intelligent recognition of new realities, and in a common commitment to our shared dreams of a better world. Thank you.
Bon après-midi, Your Excellency, Chief Justice, chers collègues, distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs. First of all, thank you, Your Highness, for your very thoughtful address. Ya Ali Madat. It's a great pleasure to see you again. May I also say what a great pleasure it is to welcome your family to Canada. Your Highness, though we met for the first time only 3 years ago, I feel like I've known you for a very long time. My longtime university roommate, his name Alnur Lakhani, is an Ismaili, and he kept a picture of you in our room. He told me much about you, but I have to admit, when I think of that picture today, I still have one question. How is it that you never age? Off the top, Your Highness, let me congratulate you on your Golden Jubilee as the Imam of the world's Shia Ismaili Muslims. For half a century, you have provided spiritual guidance for Ismailis and worked to improve the quality of life in their communities. Your name has also become synonymous with humanitarian aid and development in countries beset by conflict and poverty. And perhaps most importantly of all, you've acted as a bridge builder between faiths and cultures. In a world still riven by sectarian strife, this is very important work indeed. Your Highness, I'm honored to be with you today on the occasion of the opening of the delegation of the Ismaili Imamate. And on behalf of the government and people of Canada, I want to thank you for choosing to build the delegation, the world's first, in our nation's capital. This architectural masterpiece is a spectacular addition to our magnificent mile of history here in Ottawa. And like the Giant's Court crystal plucked from the Canadian Shield, this beautiful atrium illustrates the translucence and timeless purpose of the delegation. The work done here will help lift the darkness of poverty, ignorance, and inequality that afflicts so many in this troubled world. As you said, Canada is a fitting choice for the delegation. Our country and the Ismaili Imamate are bonded by shared values: tolerance, compassion, community service, and especially our devotion to pluralism, the essential ingredient for harmony in our modern, interconnected world. We are also bonded by a long and fruitful relationship. Canada has been providing generous support for the health, education, and economic development work of the Aga Khan Development Network for over 25 years. And of course, we are bonded by the tens of thousands of Ismailis who call Canada home. Beginning with their flight from brutal repression in Uganda, Ismailis have adapted quickly and successfully to life in Canada, becoming leaders in our communities and in many aspects of life in our country. And their success has demonstrated that in a genuinely pluralistic society, social integration can occur without sacrificing cultural identity. In a very real way, this glorious building will serve as a permanent Canadian monument to the success of this community. In its modern state-of-the-art design and essentially secular purpose, the work done here will be infused with the ancient traditions and tenets of the Ismaili faith, as embodied by your tireless efforts to teach the world there is more that unites us than divides us. This is the Ismaili way, As Your Highness noted when you initiated the delegation here in 2005, and I quote, "Ismailis are a transnational community who are, first and foremost, active and loyal citizens of the countries where they live." And so it is with Canadian Ismailis. The blossoming of the Ismaili community in Canada offers a ray of hope to the world. By demonstrating that diverse congregations of the great faiths can coexist and flourish, we are proving that there indeed can be unity in diversity. This message will be transmitted from Canada to the world through the programs, policy, and diplomacy that will emanate from this delegation of the Ismaili Imamate. These efforts will complement the work of the Global Center for Pluralism, also here in Ottawa, which was initiated last year as a partnership of our government and the Aga Khan Development Network. Working together, Your Highness, we are effectively making Canada the headquarters of the global effort to foster peace, prosperity, and equality through pluralism. Sectarianism has been part of the human condition for millennia. It will not easily give way to pluralism and harmony. But this vision has been the inspiring, lifelong goal of the Aga Khan. When it is achieved, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the world will look a lot like Canada. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.